Humans were never free. They have always been enslaved and need to free themselves. So, from all the research I've done, and going back as far as millions of years ago, whenever humans were first put on this planet, from what I could tell, they've never been free. But before I get into the topic, I want to remind any of my viewers who are watching, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It really does help the channel, and I do appreciate all my viewers. But now back to this. So, from my understanding, humans were not even the original race of this planet. And the sources where I get my information, whenever I feel, and I have to say this because people need to understand, I'm pretty good at sensing things or feeling things out, right? So whenever I feel something to be correct, when I hear something, I usually can tell if it's right or not, like right away, right? Like whether I read it or somebody says it or I see it in a video, whatever. It's easy for me to see what the truth is, right? Whether somebody's lying or not or whatever. So from all the sources that I've gathered and researched, what stands out as the truth to me is that humans have always been enslaved. They were not even the original race of this planet. There was actually, from my understanding, a dinosaur-like race that was humanoid, and they were the original race of the Earth. And humans were placed here or came here from other planets that had humans on them, whether you believe they came from Lyra or wherever. The point is, humans came from other solar systems or star systems, the Pleiades or whatever, and they came here, but they weren't the original race of this planet. They weren't the first race that was manifested on this planet. I guess that's the best way to put it. But long story short, ever since humans have been here, they've been enslaved and attacked and ruled by the evil ones. They've never been free, as far as I know. And it doesn't matter what society you think was free, or even Atlantis or any other society or any other great civilization that has existed on this planet. From my understanding, they've all been controlled by evil or some evil forces. There was always some evil entities in the background pulling the strings and making the society the way it was. And now we're in a time, from my understanding, and according to Kim Gilligan and other people, that we're supposed to break free from this, or we're trying to break free. Now, me being a real person or a realist, I'm going to tell you that it doesn't look good right now, because humanity has gone through this before. Humanity has gone through ups and downs. Humanity has been in situations where there were end of the world scenarios. They've had different versions of humans. They've created multiple versions. They've altered the DNA. They've done different things to humans to make them different, right? Over the years. And the ones that do this are the evil ones, right? And long story short, there's never been a point from any other research that I've seen that humans were free on this planet. Maybe, okay, I'll take that back. Maybe there were a few points, and because I'm remembering as I'm speaking, there were maybe a few points where there was no outside interference and things were heavenly because humans were left alone. And when humans are left alone and they're not messed with by evil forces, they tend to get along and they tend to strive to improve and evolve and become better entities. But whenever they get to a point where they're doing, I guess, too good, something comes and messes it up. Some evil force comes, some evil entities come here and they just destroy everything and ruin everything. They take over and they enslave the humans, and then the cycle keeps repeating, right? But regardless, the point I'm trying to make is, for the most part, throughout humanity's most, I guess, evolutionary periods where they were going through phases of advancing in technology and improving themselves, they would always have some force come here, enslave them, take them over, and control them, and then they would lead to the destruction of that civilization. And if I am remembering correctly, there have been 7 great civilizations on this planet, meaning 7 great times where humans were evolving, advancing, technological breakthroughs and stuff like that. And we're currently in the 7th one. And if you look at what's taking place in front of your eyes, regardless of what anybody says, and that includes Kim Gogan, it doesn't look good for humanity right now. We're going back through a destructive phase where everything is crumbling, everybody's fighting. There's really nothing good. If you look at the world objectively, without your little biases or your little brainwashed beliefs, you can see that there's not much good going on. There really isn't. I mean, if you want to believe that there are good things to make yourself feel better, fine. Delude yourself and do that. I'm not saying there aren't good people either. There are good people. But what I'm talking about is society as a whole and the way things are going. Things are not going good. Things are leading down darker and darker paths. The more things happen, you look at the war with Ukraine, the possibility of World War III and stuff like that. And then we just got through the whole 19 disease, right? And what's the next thing that's going to happen? And the next thing after that, like, there's always how do I explain this? We're always going through something. It's never peace. It's never, all right, things are good. Everybody's living. Everybody's prospering. But to make it worse, even the times where you could say we've had down periods of peace or things seem like they were going okay, you're still a slave to society or a slave to the system or a slave to the ones that control this world, because you have to work. You have to find a way to survive, right? Unless you get off the grid, quote unquote, unless you want to live in the jungle or the forest or whatever. But if you're part of society, you're part of the civilization that exists on this planet, it doesn't matter what country you're in, you have to be a productive member of society. You have to participate. You have to do your part. Do I believe that there should be societies and civilizations and people getting along and working together? Yeah. But I don't believe that you need governments and figureheads and monarchies and politicians to tell you how to do that. I think that people can get together on their own. And there are civilizations even now on this planet that are living wherever they're living, and they don't have governments. They just have their tribes or whatever, and they're surviving. They don't need politicians. They don't need to vote. They don't need to do any of that. And they're still around. They're still alive, right? They're figuring out how to live off of nature. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not saying we need to be that way either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we need to go live in the jungle. What I'm saying is, I think humans are smart enough to figure out how to live their lives without having some politicians or some overarching figures telling you what to do, especially when those figures are controlled by evil. And the only way humanity is going to free themselves from what's happening on this planet is to resist these systems that have been put in place by entities that are not even human. They put these systems of control on purpose. You get to vote, you get to do this and that or whatever. So that way you feel like you're participating and you're part of something, right? Like you have some kind of say. And that keeps people from rebelling, right? And fighting back because they feel like they're part of it. But the truth of the matter is you're not part of it. And they did that on purpose so that they can make you passive, right? So you can just sit there and just do what they tell you to do without fighting back. But long story short, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys got something out of this. And the only way, like I said, I'm going to say it again. Humanity needs to resist and free themselves. And if they don't, nobody's going to do it. You guys are going to be slaves forever. And I don't want to be a slave. That's all I'm going to say. But if you like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.